live from Los Angeles. I'm with Danielle, our Mellotron tech here. We've been working together for a while, and we're just going to jump right in with Mellotron Marcus, who's in Stockholm, and we're going to discuss a couple of awesome records with you today. Hi, Marcus.
Hello. It's evening over here in Stockholm, but there's still a little bit of light because we're nearing the summer season, which is nice.
So nice. So nice. A nice change. It looks beautiful. That blue glow looks beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we have on deck Radiohead, Led Zeppelin, and Fiona Apple, in that order. And there was something else I wanted to mention to you before we got started, but now I can't. I think you recommended the exit music for a film, or did I?
Yeah.
That was you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a bit of a portal track, so to say, that really helped push Mellotron into the forefront again, basically at the end of the 90s. That was that and Oasis Wonderwall were like two big tracks at this time in 97 circa. And it both mainstream, it was played all over the radio, and a lot of musicians were picking it up and being very inspired by the whole production basically of the Radiohead, that record, OK Computer.
Across the board, not just the inspiration of the Mellotron.
Everybody. I was talking to Paul Wachter Savoy from Aha just a few years later, and he mentioned that was one of his big inspirations for what he wanted to do with Aha when they were reuniting in 2000, so to say, or they reunited earlier, but the album came out around about 2000.
Oh, that's so fascinating. I had no idea. That's such a I wouldn't have expected that
exactly.
thread, you know. Well, why don't we'll give it a play and we'll do some discussion. I listened to this when we were putting together the programming for this week, but I'm excited to hear it again. So here we go. This is exit music for a film from Radiohead's record, OK Computer.
Wake from your sleep, the drying of your tears. Today we escape, pack and get dressed before your father hears us, before all hell breaks loose. Sing us a song to keep us warm. There's such a chill, such a chill.
Radiohead recording is a rather intricate one. It's at least a double tracked, and from what I can hear, or maybe triple tracked, because I can hear, but it's like we hear now, it's kind of difficult, but I can definitely hear the female four voice in some parts where you hear just females, or mostly females, but it's of course a bit tricky to hear, but you can definitely hear some parts where you only have the males.
Yeah.
So it's even a little bit separated in stereo. So you have, I think you have the males it depends on, but one side is males and one is females. But then there's also somewhere in the middle, you have another track, I think, which is the real eight voice, so to say. So it's kind of a really intricate arrangement. So there's been a lot of fighting among certain people that like to fight about these things. That some people are like, it's the eight voice choir. No, it's the four voice so and so. It's the male. It's blah.
About this song in particular, this record in particular.
This song, yes,
okay.
Yes, because this is like the comeback of the Mellotron choir. I had a lot of musicians explaining to me in like when we were in the beginning of the 90s, when we were starting out, that were like, no, you can't use the choir. It's impossible to use. It's been played to death by Genesis and some prog bands. It's unusable. You can't use it.
It's gonna make you. It's gonna be reminiscent of something that we've already done.
Prog,
right,
basically.
Right.
Yeah. So and then of course when Radiohead did something creative with it, it was like, didn't think about that, sort of. So it's one of those things where people have been thinking a little bit too much instead of just creatively using whatever's out there. So
100%. I mean, I think that I don't know what it was like at the time when this record came out, but that's how we think of Radiohead now, because they continue to just sort of push the envelope in that sense. I loved like the use of the end of the sample. Like it wasn't entirely being played with, but it was like, that was something that I noticed. Like they didn't try to just create a pad atmosphere. They definitely, like, you could hear the end of the choir as well. Yeah. And then it was just brilliant the way that it was all brought together and fearless in that way too. Like it wasn't just the beginning of a sound. It was the sound completely alone.
Very much so. I mean, it's double tracking it and just putting it up there in the mix. It's just which was kind of daring at the time. Like I said, it was, but it worked so well. And there's again, it just goes to show that you can't be thinking too much about stuff like that. Oh, people are gonna think it's, sounds like Genesis. I mean, who thought that when it came out? Even people that knew about Genesis early stuff, where they used some choir, is like, I mean, not even those people were like, oh my God, what a Genesis ripoff. I mean, I don't know who thought. I mean, there must be like 1 in a million that had a thought like that. It's not. Or what a prog ripoff. I mean, oh my God, they're just ripping off prog like hell. I mean, forget about it.
100%. What about that? Like, was there a like a mandolin sound toward the end, or was that a guitar? Do you know?
I'm pretty certain that was guitar being played. I don't. They had bought some tape frames from us, and but they hadn't. That would have to be digging pretty deeply into the library, and they. I know they had some old tape frames also, but the mandolin sounds and stuff like that was so unusual at that time, or any time, to have that on a tape frame is extremely unusual. Very rare, so unusual. So yeah, so I don't think that it was that, but also I just thought about it. I said that there were 4 versions of this choir, and I only talked about 3, and those are also the only 3 ones that we have published so far. The 4th version is the split choir, where you have half the keyboard is only males and half the keyboard is only females. So that's the 4th and very unusual version of this choir.
Is it the same recordings, or is it?
Yes, same recordings. Oh, and there's actually a 5th version. If you want to be really picky about it, there's actually a 5th version, the Black Sabbath version, which is just EQ'd differently, so to say. So,
interesting. Wow.
Can I ask a question about that? I noticed on the, I think it's sound card 02 is where the Sabbath choir and the Sabbath strings are at. Are the Sabbath strings also just EQ differently? I just used them on a track and I couldn't believe how they sounded. I was really, really impressed. Is it just the same recordings EQ'd?
I'm a little bit at the moment. I'm a little bit uncertain. There's actually, I think you're talking about the Sabbath orchestra, because there are 3 Sabbath sounds: the orchestra, the choir, and the sound effects. So that's a different EQing of there is an original orchestra sound which we haven't put out yet, and it's definitely they definitely have put their own touch to both the choir and that orchestra sound. So it's but the most prominent sound in that orchestra pad, if you want to call it that, is the strings, of course. And they definitely did a lot of EQing to it. It's quite magical. Quite the thing.
It was ready to go.
And I think that it's really good. And you can also see the same thing happening to the 2 violins compared to the normal 2 violins, which are just, it definitely is the same recording, but just